Hey guys, welcome back to your weekly Battlefield 6 news video, and today we're gonna talk about what's next in Battlefield 6, a possible fix for the annoying stutters that were added with last week's update, and a lot of frustration and discussion that is going around in the community about removed game modes, especially about their sudden disappearance. So if you haven't been following this, last week, Battlefield Studios has removed several playlists from the start page and also the two modes Rush and King of the Hill from the custom search, which means that unless those modes are being hosted by the community and portal, there's no Rush or King of the Hill available anymore. And while the removal or restructuring of playlists was announced a few days before, the removal of the modes from custom search was not, and especially for Rush, this caused a lot of backlash within the community. Now, Battlefield Studios has addressed this in a short community update later last week and said that they've seen the feedback on the recent playlist changes as well as on the changes to custom search and understand the concerns around matchmaking and missing modes. The playlist changes weren't made lightly, and their goal is to improve matchmaking quality by focusing players into the playlists seeing the most activity. However, as for the changes to custom search, these are solely tied to the current matchmaking system, because this system requires custom search filters to be tied directly to active playlists, which means if there is no playlist for Rush or King of the Hill, these modes will also disappear from custom search. Now, they also acknowledge that modes like Rush are community favorites regardless of how often they're played, but they don't have an immediate solution for this. They say that they want to continue exploring the best ways to bring them into matchmaking, and that later on there are long-term solutions planned like portal verified modes, for example, or the server browser. But for now, everything is tied to those playlists, and the only way to bring back the removed modes is to bring back playlists. Well, so far for the theory, because what happened this week is that they brought back King of the Hill as part of the Flag and Frag playlist, which also made it available in custom search again, but the mode that is gone now from custom search in addition to Rush is Domination, even though this mode is also part of the Flag and Frag playlist alongside King of the Hill. So even though they said playlists are tied to custom search, Domination is gone now, even though it's part of a playlist. Make that make sense. I get where they're coming from, with the intent to focus players more on the modes and playlists that are played the most. Because if they don't, we probably end up in even more lobbies that are filled with bots instead of players. But having such a deeply flawed system that limits the availability of core game modes like Rush, that's just terrible and completely avoidable through a server browser. And the problem right now is that this step is only necessary because Battlefield 6 has lost so much of its player base, for several reasons of course. But then again, removing classic Battlefield modes from the game will not bring back players as well. And this whole event was even followed by a case where a Battlefield 6 player on Steam got a full refund on the Phantom Edition, even though he had already played the game for 470 hours. The refund was requested because the mode the player had mainly played was Rush, and this had been removed last week. So he contacted Steam support and explained that the mode had been removed nearly a year after launch, and the Steam support agreed with his complaint and fully refunded the game. Now, there are arguments online about whether the refund was justified or not, and sure, you can argue about this, but as someone who loved to play different modes in Battlefield 6 as well, I'm also pretty disappointed about these changes. Or, well, actually about the system that doesn't allow for more freedom in available game modes. And also that the devs didn't listen to the community feedback earlier and included a server browser right from the start. Because this was and still is one of the most requested features for Battlefield 6. If it will be what we're hoping for when it arrives, and if it will solve those problems, we will see. To end this topic on a more positive note, what they also added back in today is Operation Augor, also a community favorite, and this one will be playable for 1 week until August 18th, which is when Phase 2 of Season 4 will start. What we can expect to see in this second phase is the remake of the classic Battlefield map Wake Island. We just got the gameplay trailer for it. I'm gonna link it in the description below in case you haven't watched it yet, but that's also the gameplay that you can see in the background here. And this map got completely reimagined for Battlefield 6 and its setting and lore, just like Golmud Railway was for Season 3. Here you can see a few side-by-side comparisons between the Battlefield 5 version of Wake Island and the one we will see in Battlefield 6 next week. In addition to this, we will also see new modes and vehicles that are completely built around the new Top Gun collaboration, and this one will probably be the biggest part of this phase. So there will be the 2 new modes, Carrier Strike and Fighter Sweep, and 2 new jets, including the option to fully customize their loadouts. There will be a new point of interest as well on the Battle Royale map, which is an aircraft carrier, and we will see a new sniper rifle. And on top of that, also several new features and changes to the game where we already got a little sneak peek. So first of all, the promised features, custom lobbies and spectator mode will be added. I already talked about this in former videos as well. There will be an optional ADS dispersion crosshair that you can activate in the settings, and this means that it will expand as the dispersion increases while you are firing an automatic weapon. So it gives you an idea of how the dispersion changes on your weapon while firing. And there will be additional time to kill and time to death adjustments, but here they were not specific as to what this means. But I guess the full patch notes will become available later this week, and as usual, I will also give you a rundown of what has actually changed and what the changes look like once the update went live. For this video here, there's only one last point left now, and that's the quick workaround I promised in the intro for everyone who is suffering from the random stutters in Battlefield 6 after last week's update. Here, the broken machine found a possible solution and has suggested to simply turn off Show Player Created Content in the settings under System. And this seems to have a positive effect, at least for him, and the stutters seem to disappear. So if you're suffering from this as well, maybe you want to give this solution a try and maybe it works for you as well. And that was it for today. These were all the news you might have missed over the last few days. And if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more content like this, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. I'm the Catwoman and you are awesome.